November 19th, 2021, at 917 Folsom Street in San Francisco. This town hall is being translated into Spanish and Cantonese for members of our community who speak those languages. Today's presentation will include details from an officer-involved shooting incident that ended tragically, claiming the life of Mr. Ajmal Amani. He was 41 years old. In the San Francisco Police Department, we recognize that our sworn duty as law enforcement officers impose no more solemn obligation on us than to honor and respect the sanctity of human life. We also know that as police officers, we are sometimes required to use force, including deadly force at times, in the performance of our duties. Without suggesting a premature judgment on the appropriateness of the force used in this particular incident, I can express on behalf of all of us in our department our condolences to Mr. Armani's family, friends, and loved ones for the loss they've suffered. We recognize too that officer-involved shootings can have a traumatic effect on members of our communities, especially for individuals, their families, and loved ones who have suffered trauma of their own in encounters with the criminal justice system, whatever it may be. To any of our viewers experiencing trauma from this incident or from the information or images that we will present during this town hall, please know that help is available to you. You may contact the San Francisco Department of Public Health Crisis Line at 415-970-3800 for trauma services. So here's what we hope to accomplish today. First and foremost, we want to continue to earn your trust and legitimacy by being transparent through this presentation. We will be releasing facts known to us at this time about this incident in a manner that is informative and impartial. Shortly, Commander Paul Yep will discuss the facts of this case. But before I turn this over to Commander Yep, I'd like to emphasize that this is an ongoing investigation. As such, there may be some information we cannot release at this time because either the facts are not clearly established or because the release of certain information is either prohibited by law or could compromise the investigation. Next, body-worn camera footage captured this incident. Also, surveillance video cameras at the location and immediate vicinity of the officer-involved shooting captured this incident. Those videos will be presented during Commander Yep's presentation shortly. Although we have been committed to transparency with our officer-involved shooting investigations for several years now, this level of transparency is consistent with California's police transparency law that was implemented with the passing of Senate Bill 1421. All the information we will release in this town hall, including video footage and audio recordings, will be posted on the SFPD website at sanfranciscopolice.org, where it will remain available in perpetuity for public inspection. Next, the San Francisco Police Department's directives mandate that we release the names of officers from officer-involved shootings within 10 days of the incident, unless safety concerns argue against disclosure. In this matter, no safety concerns have been identified, and the name of the involved officers will be released during Commander Paul Yep's presentation of the facts of this incident. I would like to explain the investigative processes for an officer-involved shooting next. San Francisco has a multi-agency response to officer-involved shootings, and each agency's investigation is independent. Whenever an officer-involved shooting occurs in San Francisco involving an on-duty San Francisco police officer, the following agencies are immediately notified. The San Francisco Police Department's Investigative Services Detail is the investigative unit responsible for investigating any underlying criminal activity that led up to the officer-involved shooting. In this case, the underlying criminal activity being investigated by SFPD's Investigative Services Detail is a series of assaults and criminal threats allegedly committed by Mr. Amani, which occurred in the hours before and up to the officer-involved shooting. The SFPD's Internal Affairs Division is responsible for conducting an administrative investigation to determine if the officer or officers responsible for the OIS are in compliance with the standards and requirements of SFPD policy. Although the investigation of both SFPD units run in parallel, each has a distinct investigative purview and focus. Each maintains a strict internal firewall to comply with legal standards and requirements. The San Francisco District Attorney's Office Independent Investigations Bureau, or IIB, is the lead investigative unit responsible for investigating whether the involved officer or officers' use of deadly force or any associated force is in legal accordance with the criminal laws of the state of California. The district attorney's investigation and findings are independent of the San Francisco Police Department's investigations and administrative findings. Based on the findings of the district attorney's independent investigation bureau, the district attorney of the city and county of San Francisco is authorized to determine whether or not involved officer or officers have violated the criminal laws, and accordingly, whether or not to file criminal charges against the officer or officers involved. The San Francisco Department of Police Accountability, also known as DPA, also conducts an independent administrative investigation. San Francisco voters created DPA as a successor to the Office of Citizen Complaints with their passage of Proposition D in the June 2016 election. DPA investigates all SFPD incidents in which any of our officers discharge a weapon within the course and scope of their duties, whenever that discharge results in an individual's injury or death. The San Francisco Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, or OCME, has a responsibility for conducting an on-scene investigation, collecting evidence, and taking custody of a deceased person in any officer-involved shooting that results in a fatality. In tragic cases such as these, OCME is responsible for conducting an autopsy to determine the decedent's cause of death and to report those findings publicly. In this incident, because Mr. Amani died from his injuries, the OCME will conduct an investigation to determine the cause of death. Recent changes in state law after the passage of California State Assembly Bill 1506 mandate that the California Department of Justice, or the California DOJ, Division of Law Enforcement, California Police Shooting Team, conduct a criminal investigation of officer-involved shootings of persons determined to be unarmed. The California DOJ was also notified. All notified agencies immediately dispatched investigators and appropriate personnel to the scene to begin their respective and independent investigations. After a preliminary review of the facts and body-worn camera footage, investigators from the California Department of Justice Division of Law Enforcement, California Police Shooting Team determined that at this stage of the investigation, the incident did not meet the state law criteria for them to take investigative responsibility for the criminal investigation. In conclusion, I'd like to point out that we take community feedback very seriously. Based on feedback from prior officer-involved shooting town halls, we will also take questions and answer them to the extent we're able, understanding that this incident remains an ongoing investigation. We will allocate 1 hour for public comments and questions and conclude this town hall at approximately 5:15 p.m. Or if we don't get additional comments or questions, we will end before 5:15 p.m. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And now, Commander Paul Yett.
Thank you, Chief Scott. Good afternoon, everyone. The officer-involved shooting incident discussed in this presentation involves uniformed patrol members of the San Francisco Police Department from the Southern Police District. The incident occurred on Friday, November 19th, 2021, as officers responded to an 8-priority call for service of a person with a knife at a residential hotel on the 900 block of Folsom Street. The precise chronology of this incident is currently under investigation. The times presented are approximate and still under investigation at this time. The following is a summary of the events as they are understood as of today, Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. At approximately 8:05 a.m., the San Francisco Department of Emergency Management received a 911 call from an employee of a residential hotel, whom I will refer to as Victim 1 throughout this summary. Victim 1 reported a man in a building with a knife in his hand, as a male voice is heard yelling in the background. The male is described as, quote, like Caucasian, like Hispanic, end quote, or, quote, Arabian, end quote, by the 911 caller. The 911 operator attempts to collect additional information, but Victim 1 states that she cannot stay on the phone while the male, quote, has a knife to my face, end quote. The call then abruptly disconnects. At 8:07 a.m., officers were dispatched to the location and immediately responded. The dispatcher provided additional information over the radio to the responding officers and relayed that Victim 1 said she was, quote, not going to stay on the phone while he has a knife to her face, end quote. At 8:10 a.m., the two officers arrived on scene and gained entry into the building. The officers contacted Victim 1 and Victim 2 on the second floor, who were both building employees. Victim 1 and Victim 2 identified the male subject as Mr. Ajmal Amani at this time. Victim 1 and Victim 2 reported that Mr. Amani had threatened Victim 2 with a knife. Victim 2 grabbed the knife and showed the officers. Victim 2 stated that Mr. Amani was carrying a similar knife, stating, quote, he came at me like this, end quote, while simulating brandishing a knife above his head in a threatening manner. Victim 2 stated that Mr. Amani also said he was going to, quote, stab you right now, I'm going to kill you, end quote. Officer 2 asked Victim 1 if Mr. Amani was known to be violent, and Victim 1 replied, quote, very violent, end quote. The officers requested additional officers to the scene and began walking down the hallway towards Mr. Amani's room. As they began walking down the hallway, they observed a male briefly appear at the end of the hallway. The male's description was consistent with that of Mr. Amani, who began yelling and pointing at the officers before walking back out of sight. Officer 1 and Officer 2 then walked back to the victims and reconfirmed Mr. Amani's description. Officer 1 and Officer 2 then established a position in the hallway to observe Mr. Amani and attempt communication. At this point in time, Officer 1 was armed with his department-issued firearm, which was drawn and held in front of him, pointing towards the ground in a low ready position. The term low ready describes when a weapon is drawn and exhibited in a posture that is in the general direction of an individual who poses a potential threat, but not directly aimed at that individual. Officer 2 was armed with an extended range impact weapon, also commonly referred to as a beanbag weapon. Per Department General Order 5.01, our department use of force policy, San Francisco Police Department officers are trained to deploy the less lethal weapon while paired with an officer who is equipped with a lethal force option, such as a department-issued firearm. The lethal cover officer is designated to protect the less lethal officer and have ready to deploy, if necessary, lethal force options. Officer 1 and Officer 2 formulated a plan. Officer 1 called for additional resources that included an ambulance to stage nearby per department training. Officer 1 also directed the next responding unit to bring a tactical shield consistent with department training. Both officers attempted to speak with Mr. Amani, who screamed back at the officers from around the corner. After approximately 1 minute, Mr. Amani stepped back into the hallway, screaming and brandishing a knife in his right hand. Mr. Amani then charged towards the officers while brandishing the knife and screaming unintelligibly. Officer 1 yelled multiple verbal commands to stay back as Mr. Armani charged at the officers. Officer 2 also yelled verbal commands as Mr. Armani approached. As Mr. Armani ran towards the officers, brandishing the knife, the officers quickly backed up down the hallway away from Mr. Armani. As Mr. Armani closed the distance, Officer 1 and Officer 2 fired their respective weapons, striking Mr. Armani. Mr. Armani fell to the ground with a knife nearby him on the floor. Officers attempted to communicate with Mr. Armani. Responding officers arrived with a tactical shield and formulated a plan. Responding officers approached, secured the knife, and began to administer emergency medical aid. Medical personnel arrived on scene and transported Mr. Armani to Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital and Trauma Center. I'm going to provide you with additional information. Mr. Armani was pronounced deceased at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital. Evidence. Preliminary evidence indicates that Officer 1 fired 4 rounds from his firearm. Officer 2 did not fire his firearm, but did discharge a department-issued extended range impact weapon 3 times. A knife with an approximately 6-inch blade and 5-inch handle was recovered at the scene. Video. Officer 1 and Officer 2 were wearing department-issued body-worn cameras, which were activated at the time of the incident. Body-worn camera footage of officers rendering aid. Surveillance video in the residential hotel hallway was also captured the incident. Witnesses. No witnesses at the scene of the incident have been interviewed. Additional witnesses are being sought by investigators. Subject. The decedent's name is Ajmal Amani. His date of birth, April 30th, 1980. Involved members. The officer discharging the department firearm is Officer John Quinlan, number 1507. The officer discharging the extended range impact weapon is Officer Danny De Leon Garcia, number 1825. Today's presentation is provided in a multimedia format. In an effort to provide a transparent and comprehensive perspective of this incident, the San Francisco Police Department will provide 911 calls, police dispatch audio, body-worn camera footage, surveillance video, still photos, crime scene investigation photos, and related visual aids. Our presentation today consists of relevant known video and audio at this time, but it is not intended to provide all photos, videos, or testimonial information related to this investigation. We will now provide a chronological presentation of this incident using these multimedia sources. The videos shown are in their raw form and are shown as provided to the San Francisco Police Department by the residential hotel. At select points, to increase the transparency for viewers, the weapons of both the officers and the subject have been enhanced to allow for better perspective of this incident. Please note that this presentation, the enhanced video, and the raw video will be available on the SFPD website immediately following this town hall event. Prior to the beginning of each segment of audio or video, we will provide a brief description to orient the viewer to time, place, and location of the content about to be shown. You are about to see relevant video footage and learn about other evidence related to this case so you can have a better understanding of what occurred based upon what we know right now. We are still in the very early stages of an investigation that can take months to complete, and our understanding of the incident may change as additional evidence is collected and reviewed. We do not draw any conclusion as to whether the officers acted consistent with our policies and the law until the facts are known and the investigation is complete. A word of caution. The images and information you are about to see and hear may be disturbing. When a police officer uses force to arrest a suspect or defend against attack, the images are graphic and may be difficult to watch. In addition, there may be strong language used by those in the video. Viewer discretion is advised, especially for young children and sensitive viewers. We encourage those in need of help to contact the San Francisco Department of Public Health crisis line, which is 415-970-3800. The incident began with a call for service at a residential hotel located on the 900 block of Folsom Street. The 911 call of a male subject with the knife occurred at 8:05 a.m. This audio was provided to the San Francisco Police Department from the San Francisco Department of Emergency Management. The Department of Emergency Management provides dispatch services for the fire and police departments in San Francisco. We will now play the 911 call regarding a male subject in the building with a knife at this location.
San Francisco 911, big application of emergency.
Yes, can I get the police? Hey, you better move. I'm going. You better move.
What's happening?
Yeah, we got this man in our building right now. He got a knife in his hand.
Inside the building. Okay, where inside the building is he?
Yeah, he's inside the building. He's one of our clients.
Okay, inside the building with a knife. Where is he in the lobby?
Hello?
Is he in the lobby?
No.
What floor is he on? What floor is he on?
Huh?
What floor is this person on?
Can you just come down here? Officer, I cannot hear you.
Okay, what does the guy look like?
He's in our building. He's like Hispanic.
Latin male, how old is he? And where
He's
exactly?
here. I'm not letting him out. Can y'all please come? Man, he's running down here with a knife in his hand.
I understand. Can I get a description of him? In case he runs down the street.
Can't
He's a
because
Latin male.
I am protecting myself with a knife.
Unable to get further.
No, he out of here. He out of here today. He gone. Yeah, he out of here.
Police are on their way right now, man. What color shirt or jacket is he
We
wearing?
need him gone.
I understand. What color shirt or jacket is the guy wearing?
Say it again.
What color shirt or jacket is he wearing?
He's like a Arabian dude. Calm down. He's here in his room screaming at himself. I don't know.
What room is he in now?
Let you in. I'm in the building.
Hold on. Now that he's out of your face, let me get some information on this guy, okay? The police are on their way. What's his name?
Okay, but I'm not trying to stay on the phone with y'all while he got a knife to my face. I'm not going to stay on the phone. I gave y'all the address.
I understand. He's in room now?
07 and 44 seconds.
The second 911 call came from Mr. Amani's case manager, who was not at the scene. The case manager called and provided dispatch with additional information about Mr. Amani. The second call occurred at approximately 8:10 a.m. as the initial officers arrived on scene. This audio was also provided to the San Francisco Police Department from the San Francisco Department of Emergency Management. We will now play the second 911 call from the case manager.
San Francisco 911, what's the exact location of your emergency?
Hi, Steve. She was a transfer at Folsom Street. She was on the phone with her coworker and then had a knife at her coworker, and then phone disconnected.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, this is San Francisco 911. So we did get a call about a male inside of the building with a knife. Do you know what's going on?
Okay.
Okay, yes. So I was on the phone with my coworker, and one of my, I guess he's having a really bad episode this morning. She was calling to her, because I'm there. And so she was calling me and was trying to ask me, you know, what I do. One of my is having a trip. She thinks it's a psychotic trip right now. He suffers from PTSD.
Okay.
And then so
Hold on. I'm going to ask you some questions, all right? First of all, tell me
Okay.
your name. What's your name? And you're not there, correct?
Correct. It's
Okay.
in my office.
What's your phone number in case we get disconnected? Okay, what's this person's name?
His name is Osmall.
Can you spell that for me?
It's AMANI.
Okay, and the first name, your phone broke. Could you spell that again for me?
AJMAL.
Okay, do you know his date of birth or how old he is?
No, I can't remember that off back.
What's your best guess?
Pardon me?
What's your best guess on his age?
He's about 45, 46.
What race is he?
He might be Afghanistan.
Okay. Do you know what he's wearing today?
No, I don't.
Okay. And right now, from your coworker, what did they say that he's doing?
But he was screaming and yelling, and then she was on the phone with me explaining this, and then I didn't hear him screaming and yell, but all of a sudden she was like, "You have a knife? You have a knife in your hand?" And then she was telling my other coworker, back up, and then the phone disconnected.
Okay. Do you know what unit he lives in?
He lives in unit.
Okay.
0, 8, 11, and 59 seconds.
Okay. Can I get the phone number of the person that's there, and we're going to try and bring her on the phone and get an update?
Okay, hold on, give me 1 second. The office line is.
Okay, stay on the phone with me. I'm going to try and get through and see what's happening, okay?
Okay. Disorder. And after something there's post after traumatic and trauma and the Navy. And so that's really horrible things, you know. That's people are what people grow up, you know, a lot of groups of
Okay, so it looks like the officers are out there. Are you on your way there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. How far away are you?
I'm coming, so I'm about
20.
How long?
9 minutes.
Okay. All right, the officers are on scene.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We will now play the police radio transmission from the incident on the 900 block of Folsom Street. This audio was provided by the Department of Emergency Management and consists of the radio transmissions of the officers involved in this incident. The audio consists of their observations, coordination of resources, and associated actions. Please note, the dispatch audio was edited to include only radio transmissions related to this incident. The original dispatch audio contained unrelated audio transmissions from a neighboring district and other unrelated calls for service.
Southern 83222, Folsom between 5th and Falmouth. At this time, we just have a male inside the building with a knife, unknown further. Wait till Adam, can you break fire?
What's working on for it?
Working Adam.
You're right, W. Investigate you.
Yeah, Roy 14 Adam, copy. 100 acknowledge ERW response.
101.
101 copy. 14 Adam, the only description we have is a Latin male. Call taker still on landline. 14 Adam, getting further. This RP is uncooperative. She doesn't want to get further, say that she's not going to stay on the phone while he has a knife to her face. Then the RP hung up. Subject is in his room.
14 Adam, from 97. Do you have anything further?
So boy 14 Adam, apparently the 222 is inside room and possibly a Middle Eastern male is the RP, and it's unclear.
Can you have them yours outside, if possible?
I'll have to call him back. Call back to the RP. I have no further for you. Headquarters boy 14 Adam, another party is called in about this subject at Folsom. The second RP.
We can hear him screaming. We need 909. Can we get another unit out here?
Boy 14 Adam requesting 904 with another unit on the 222. Boy 13 Adam, what's your ETA?
We're a few blocks out.
Boy 13 Adam, 98, 2 blocks out.
Boy 14 Adam, the subject came out of the room and ran back into his room.
Copy. Boy 13 Adams, a few blocks away.
Only one for him. This is a 4-way stage.
Boy 14 Adams, copy. 4-8 stage.
26 seconds.
What?
2,000.
We're coming 97. Can you bring your shield up with you?
46
So far.
seconds.
Yeah, code 33 shot fired in the hallway.
8:15.
14 Adams, 33 shots fired in the hallway. Folsom. Repeating code 33, shots fired in the hallway. Folsom for boy 14 Adam.
26 seconds.
201, 101, 98.
201 and 101, 10-4.
201, 1013.
8:15.
14 Adam, 10-13.
Seconds.
10-9.
Seconds.
Boy 12 Adam, you cut yourself off.
Suspect so far is down. Officers are okay. But the 222 is still by the suspect.
The officer, hey, 10-9 the suspect, you're 10-1 muffled.
Suspect has 1 GSW, but he's still down. 222 is still by his side. Stand by.
Copy.
Seconds.
And he lives at Folsom View Lights, 1 Yellow 40 is en route, staying close.
08:16.
14 out, we're coming 97 with a full units. Yeah, but we're going to be advised, we're going to wait for the shield, and then we'll,
08:17.
so we'll bring the shield now. Do you need anything else?
Seconds.
Hey, units coming on. Only make sure you leave a path for a 408. Boy 12 Adam, we take one into custody. Knife has been recovered. Starting CPR.
Copy. Knife recovered, taking one into custody, CPR starting. And confirming all officers are code 4.
088.
Boy 12 Adam, 408 code 3. They're literally standing outside the fire station. Have them come in code 3. Starting CPR.
088.
Stops to 5.
26 seconds.
13 Adam, stage the 4 weeks coming.
Friday.
Boy 12 Adam, we have 1 GSW to the stomach. There's one in the leg at this point.
88.
One to the stomach, one to the leg, copy.
6 seconds.
Medics have been advised to enter.
One block away, guys. Which one, Adam? Flying the tourniquet.
0819.
Applying tourniquet, copy.
Seconds. 08.
Anyone outside has scissors?
Hey, boy 201, 97 on scene, assuming in command.
In the following segments, we will show surveillance video footage from the residential hotel and the body-worn camera footage of San Francisco Police Department response to this incident. During the response, officers utilized multiple force options, which will be seen and heard in the following videos. We will now play the surveillance video provided by the residential hotel. The angle of the camera is from the far end of the hallway, which captures the incident from start to end. Please note, the surveillance camera 1 captures video only, not audio. In addition, the faces of the victims and the other residents are redacted for privacy reasons. We will now play a portion of the hallway surveillance video camera 1 footage with enhancements. This portion of the video will allow for the viewers to better see the knife and the movement of Mr. Amani during his interactions with the victims prior to the officer's arrival. We will now play another portion of the hallway surveillance video camera 1 footage with enhancements. This portion of video was enhanced to see Mr. Amani's position and the officer's positions prior to and during the officer-involved shooting. The enhancements will also allow for the viewers to better see the weapons used by Mr. Amani and the 2 officers. We will now play surveillance video, camera 2 footage of a hallway, which includes Mr. Amani's unit. This is adjacent to the main hallway where the officer-involved shooting incident occurred. The video captures Mr. Amani exiting his room with a knife in hand as he ran towards the main hallway. Please note, the surveillance camera 2 captures video only, not audio. We are now going to play the body-worn camera from Officer 1. This video will be played in real time. The body-worn camera footage will show Officer 1 responding to the residential hotel, his actions leading up to the officer-involved shooting, and his actions after the officer-involved shooting incident. Please note, there is an initial 30-second period with no audio, while the body-worn camera is in its buffering mode.
No, it's probably for the hotel. Yeah, hold on. Start that description when you're ready.
Just one.
You got a knife like this. Get him out of here. Shake it like a
All right, here, can we talk to you guys? Yeah. Okay, so he's in room. Okay, all right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man.
You didn't take your eye off my hand, did you?
Is he a tenant? Is he a guest?
His name is Armani.
Armani?
AJ Armani.
Okay. Okay.
He came at me.
Does he still have the knife?
Yes, just me.
Okay. All right.
He came at me. I won't.
Did he say anything to you, sir?
I'll stab you right now. I'll stab you right now. I'll kill you.
Okay.
Did you believe those threats as
I was shaking like a leaf. I said, not me. My cold had to come. He came at me.
Is anybody else in the room with him?
No, he's in there by himself.
Okay. All right.
I'm telling you, be careful, man. Be ready.
No, I'm gonna get it. Yeah, boy, once we're out, we can hear him screaming. We need the 909. Can we get another unit out here? Get back in here. What's your name? What's your name? Hold up. Hey, Arabian? Yeah. Arabian Middle Eastern ball for the.
Yeah, they got it.
All right. The reason we're gonna stay here is because if we go down there, it's probably right there to the left.
Come on, motherfucker.
Hey, Armani.
Shut the fuck up.
Armani, we just want to talk to you.
Don't disturb me.
Armani, nobody wants to hurt you. Nobody wants to hurt you, okay?
Don't disturb me.
Armani, we just want to talk to you.
No, don't talk to me. Get the fuck up. We just want to talk to you, Armani. Give me the fuck up.
Wait, one for the 408 stage. Cool. We'll wait for the 13 to get the other bodies. You can put 14 on to 13 out. You guys bring a shield up with you? Armani! Hey! Stay back! Stay back! Boy 14 out, code 33, shots fired in the hallway. Armani, let me see your hands! Armani, we want to help you, but I need you here. Back up. Back up. Ma'am, stay in there. Ma'am, no. There. Calm down. Calm down. Ma'am, stay in the room. Stay in the office. Armani? Armani, we want to help you, but we need to hear your voice, okay? We're okay. We're both good. He came running out with the knife. Hey, DLG, you're empty, okay? You're empty.
Is there a shield over there?
No, we do not have a shield, okay? So
We have a shield. We have a shield in there. So
It's in the car.
you guys about here, Yes.
yes, he does have the knife. Okay, so he has been hit. He was hit with the RIW. He was hit with the 221. He is down. We are both okay.
Stand by.
Don't move, Armani.
Armani, talk to us. Stay in the office.
Suspect's still far right there. Still far right there. Officer, okay. Officer, okay. But that people still right there.
Armani, we need to hear your voice. We have an ambulance coming. We want to help you.
Okay, the suspect, you're peddling muscle.
All right, yeah, there you go. Okay, hey, you're okay. You're okay.
Let's get the shield. We'll wait. And we'll move up.
Engage. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Your IW is empty. Your IW is empty.
Back up, Jen. We need another UIW.
I'll get another
Gloves.
I have gloves for you right here, Dan.
You need another UIW.
Yes, your IW is empty. We need another one.
Yeah.
Hey, the 222 is still by him. We did not see that. Hey, take a deep breath. All right, calm down. Calm down. I'm okay. You're okay. Calm down. Okay, hey, take a deep breath. Hey, Jen, they're going up to him right now. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
DLG, take them outside, separate them. Bring him to squad. Give him the leader when he comes on scene.
You want to go off?
We will now show the combined video of surveillance camera 2 and the body-worn camera of Officer 1 with enhancements. The first portion of video was enhanced for the viewers to see Mr. Armani exiting his unit with knife in hand, followed by the body-worn camera footage of Officer 1. The video was enhanced to identify the weapons and movements of the officers and Mr. Armani prior to shooting.
Armani. Hey! Stay back! Stay back! Boy 14, code 33, shots fired in the hallway. Armani, let me see your hands.
The next video is the body-worn camera from Officer 2, who is partnered with Officer 1. The video will be played in real time. The body-worn camera footage will show Officer 2 responding to the residential hotel, the deployment of an extended range impact weapon during the course of the incident, and his actions after the officer-involved shooting incident. Please note, there is an initial 30-second period with no audio, while the body-worn camera is in buffering mode. In addition, portions of the camera view are obstructed by the extended range impact weapon.
Where's the RP? Can you have him meet us outside if possible?
I'll have to call him back.
Are you sure? Oh.
John 1-5.
John 1 for Adam Hill.
So suspect description when you're ready.
Stand by. Just one.
Suspect is going to be a BMA, 64 years old, 6 foot, heavy build, all black clothing, urban alchemy worker. He doesn't have the black and yellow reflective vest. It's just a black jacket. He was last seen on the west corner of left part of McAllister. If there's a unit that can check the area enforcement for sure.
Hold on, one second. You just take your eye off. So is he dead? What's his name? His name is Armand. Armand. Adrian Armand. Armand. Okay. He came back.
Did he say anything to
Still
you?
have the knife? Yes, just me. Okay. All right.
Did he say anything to you, sir, when he came in?
I'll stab you right now. I'll stab you right now.
Okay. Did you believe those threats as credible?
He came acting. Is anybody else? No, he's in there right now. I'm telling you, be careful. Be ready.
Is he known to be violent?
He's very violent. Okay.
You think he may be?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Adam, another party is called in about this subject at Folsom.
Screaming Brigade 909. Picking up the unit out here.
414 Adam requesting 904 with another unit on the 222. 413 Adam, what you need here?
Hey, buddy, come over here. Come over here.
What's your
I want to talk to you.
413 Adam, 982 lockdown.
Hold up.
With 14 Adam, the subject came out of the room and ran his room.
Copy. 413 Adam is a few blocks away. I need to 14 Adam.
Yeah.
14 Adam, 410.
Yeah, we don't know.
11 Adam, for 14 Adam.
Hey, Armani.
Shut the fuck up!
Armani, we just.
Don't disturb me! Don't disturb me!
Armani, come over here.
Nobody wants to hurt you, okay?
Don't disturb me!
Armani, we just want to talk to you.
No, don't talk to me! Shut the fuck up!
We just want to talk to you, Armani.
Don't talk with me! Leave me the fuck alone!
See if there's any prior.
4-1 ground for the 408 stage.
Boy, 14 Adam, copy, 408 stage.
See if there's anything over it.
Yeah, do you have what 14 out of 13 out? 297. You guys bring a shield up with you.
Armani.
Hey, bring it down!
Stay back!
Get on the ground! Get back!
Boy 14, code 33, shots fired in the hallway. Armani, let me see your hands!
Shooting. Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Armani, we want to help you, but I need you here. Back up. Back up.
Yeah.
There, man. No, stay inside. Calm down. Calm down. Man, stay in the room. Stay in the office.
Stay inside. Stay inside. Stay inside. Armani!
Armani?
Don't move, Armani!
Armani, we want to help you, but we need to hear your voice, okay?
Okay.
We're okay. We're both good. Okay. He came running at us with the knife. Hey, DLG, you're empty, okay? Is there a shield there?
No.
You do not have a shield.
Oh, we have a shield. We have a shield in the.
Go. In the car.
He got hit by URW.
14 Adam 1013.
Yes, by him.
Yes, he does have the knife. Okay, so he has been hit. He was hit with the URW. He was hit with the 221. He is down. We are both okay.
Boy, told Adam you cut yourself off.
Don't move, Armani.
Suspect so far is down. Officers are okay.
Armani, we need to hear your voice. We have an ambulance coming. We want to help.
Officers are okay. 10-9 the suspect. You're 10-1 muffled.
Just because 1 year ago, he's like, you're still down. Wait, you're still by his side.
All right, yes, there you go. Gun away. Put your gun away.
Shot. Let's get the shield.
Well, he's shot by both.
Okay. And we'll move up. Both you guys disengage. Okay.
It's empty.
Back up, Jen.
You need another W.
I'll get another
Got gloves. You didn't go.
Yes, the URW's empty.
It's empty. Yeah.
Want to get there? Yeah. Cuff it, and then I'll.
Hey, the 220.
Yeah, he came charging at us.
I'm gonna step right over.
Take a deep breath. All right, calm down.
You all right?
I'm okay. You're okay. Calm down.
Hey, you someone on the team, make sure you use a pass.
Even this didn't bring him down.
Hey, Jen, they're going up to him right now.
And we go around. Take one in the country. Actually, we're covered.
Stay in your room.
Take Quillen and DLG, take them downside, separate them. Bring them to Imbolino when he comes on scene.
Confirming all officers are on board.
You're literally hanging outside the fire station. Now they're coming to.
The last video is from Officer 3. Officer 3 is the first backup officer that arrived on scene after the officer-involved shooting. Officer 3 and additional officers render emergency medical aid to Mr. Armani until San Francisco Fire Department medical personnel arrive on scene. Please note, there is an initial 30-second period with no audio, while the body-worn camera is in buffering mode. In addition, some of the images have been redacted due to its graphic nature and content.
I don't know what. Right up here.
97. You guys bring a shield up with you. Go for it. Shot fired in the hallway.
Yeah, 33 shot fired in the hallway.
Fuck. Where?
Armani! Armani, we want to help you, but we need to hear your voice, okay?
Are you guys okay?
We're okay. We're both good.
Okay.
He came
Hey,
right
Jet.
out with the
Hey,
knife.
Jet.
Hey,
Jet, go get shield.
There's no shield.
Is there a shield over there or no?
No, we do not have a shield.
Oh, we do.
All right,
We have a shield. We have a shield. in there.
Here, go. It's in the car.
Okay.
Go.
You guys hit by UAW.
Okay. Go ahead.
Is there a 221?
Yes. By him.
Yes, he does have the knife.
Did you?
He's hit.
Okay, so he has been hit. He was hit with the
All right,
UIW.
okay.
He was hit with the 221.
He was
He
hit.
is down. We are both okay.
Okay. All right, stand by.
Hold that if you cut yourself off.
Stand by.
Stay in the office.
Suspect so far is down. Officers are okay. But the 222 is still by the suspect.
Armani, we need to hear your voice. We have an ambulance
Okay,
coming.
the
We want to help.
officers are okay. 10-9 is suspect, you're 10-1 lawful.
Suspect has 1 GSW, but he's still down. 222 is still by his side. Stand by. Back up. Put your gun away. Okay. Put your gun away. You're okay.
This is 917, both of you guys, 140 is around.
Hey, let's get the shield. Right. We'll wait and we'll move up.
You
Okay.
guys disengage.
All right. Okay.
Give the area deputy a drop.
Okay.
Back up, Jen.
Yeah, be advised. And then we'll move up.
You need another UAW.
I'll get another.
Who's got gloves?
Yeah.
Gloves, start doing CPR as soon as we get there.
Yeah. Huh?
Yes, the UIW have the shield.
Yeah.
Hold on. Dan, when we get there, I got lethal cover. Cuff him and then I'll just secure, okay?
222 is still by him.
Yeah.
He did not see that.
Yeah. Are you guys good? Yeah.
I'm gonna step right over him,
All right.
secure the knife, okay?
Yeah. Grab the knife. I'll cuff him, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Good?
Yeah.
Moving.
Go.
Go, pull him out.
Come here.
Pull him out.
I cuff him with.
Back out of the hallway. Hold right here. Take Quinlan and DLG, take them outside, separate them. Bring it to Imbolino when he comes on scene.
And confirming, all officers are code 4.
Get the 408 here. One pull out. Fire 6.
You sit down below.
Where's he here?
Shirt off.
Hey, Corp,
We got one right here.
He's not bleeding from it though, right?
No.
Is he hit anywhere else?
I see he's hitting the leg, man.
Okay, let's get some touch on the leg.
Yeah. Hold on.
Boss man, stay with me. Here,
Please use this. Hey, put pressure here.
One is attack, one is right, copy. Medics have been advised to
My
enter.
shirt is going on right now. Go ahead.
Boss man, stay with me. Keep breathing.
Go ahead. I got pressure on the leg.
You gotta get it
I'll find her to copy.
Yeah. Hold on.
and throw some
Miles,
balls there. Yeah, what do you need? Keep breathing. I got this. You need to
Yeah, just cut the
cut the pants.
Get the pants.
Yeah, get the pants off.
Whatever that is.
Cut the out. Here. Go one letter at a time so you can see what you're working with.
Here, hey, cut the string right here.
Hold on.
Get the next layer. We gotta see where the wound is. Pressure right there. Oh, you gotta get that high. Get that tourniquet under the pants. Cut it. Get the tourniquet off. Get around it. Now we gotta get this one in a good position. There you go.
Put that shield out so that medics.
Man, great job.
What's up?
Come on, boss man, you gotta breathe.
We're at scene 408.
There you go. Keep breathing.
Everything else there? Everything else.
Keep breathing. You're doing
No
good.
one else inside. Got it. So 1 bedroom. Knives in custody.
Frank that thing, man. Frank it. Hey, check for Folsom ankle. Make sure the Folsom ankle stops. I can get more gauze. Hey, can you gauze out of here? What do you need? Gauze? There's more gauze in there? Hey, where are these medics at, man?
They're coming.
We're trying to get the PTO down.
Keep breathing. Keep breathing.
Good.
Boss is close. Where's his close? They got medics right behind you.
Back up, Miles.
All right. Medics, you in? All right.
John 11 out of 5,
We got one wound right there? We got one here and then one down here so far. So far we got two. That's all we know. One in the abdomen and then one down by his crotch. Tourniquet's on there. You got tourniquet high up? Yeah, high up right here. It's on the wound. That's cool. Yeah? All right, yeah. No.
John 12 out of
Just let the medics get him up.
Yeah, I do this. So right now, he's got one in the abdomen. High leg.
John, you need glove just in case he goes down.
Yeah. Get the coach right now.
We will now display 4 total photographs taken by the San Francisco Police Department Crime Scene Investigations Unit during and after scene processing. Photo 1 is Mr. Amani's knife as recovered at the scene. Photo 2 is Mr. Amani's knife at the scene shown to scale with a ruler and tape measure. The measurement increments are in inches. Photo 3 is the extended range impact weapon, also commonly referred to as a beanbag weapon. Photo 4 is the extended range impact weapon beanbag projectile at the scene. The beanbag projectile is approximately 3 inches in length. This concludes our presentation. Thank you. I will now introduce Captain Tim Falvey. He's the commanding officer of Southern Police Station.
Good evening. I'm Captain Tim Falvey, Department. I am the commanding officer of Southern Police Station. As part of our community outreach surrounding this event, I have been in contact with my Community Police Advisory Board. I've shared with them the information for this town hall so they could spread the information about this meeting. The Community Police Advisory Board is made up of members who are stakeholders in the community, both business groups and residents of the Southern District. I'd like to share also that on December 15th, Wednesday, December 15th at 6 p.m. will be Southern Station's next community meeting. If any members of the public would like to join the meeting, if they have any questions, and I can provide any additional information at that time. I'd also like to share that I have been in contact with the officers and reaching out to them to see how the department can support them as well. That's all I have right now. I'm going to turn this back over to the Chief of Police, William Scott.
Thank you, Captain Falvey and Commander Yep. Before I open it up for public comments and questions, please know that we have reached out to Mr. Amani's family and offered our support and personally offered our condolences. And with that, I will open it up for public comment and question, and we will allow 1 hour from now for public comment, which will take us to 5:25 p.m. or at which time we stop receiving public.
The public comment portion of this town hall will now begin. The length of time for public comment will be 1 hour. To call into the meeting, please call 1-669-900-6833. Again, that's 1-669-900-6833. Please enter meeting code 860-7650 8344. Enter passcode 804062. Each public comment caller will have up to 2 minutes to speak. If you wish to join the queue for public comment, please listen carefully to the following instructions. Interpretation is available in both Spanish and Cantonese. If you are watching on Zoom, you may click the interpretation button and select your preferred language. This is available on the web and on Zoom mobile app. If you are calling into the meeting, again, please call 669-900-6833. Enter meeting code 860-7650-8344 and enter passcode 804062. You may press *9 to raise your hand and get in the queue to speak for public comment. You will be prompted when you have been unmuted and it is your turn to speak. Once again, each caller will have up to 2 minutes to provide public comment for this town hall meeting. Your 2 minutes will begin once you have been prompted that you are unmuted and begin speaking. Please be reminded, you must mute the broadcast you are watching in order for your public comment to be heard clearly. Again, if you are watching the broadcast online or through Zoom, please mute your broadcast or lower the volume to prevent audio feedback so that your comment can be heard clearly. Moderators, at this time, I ask that you invite the first caller, if any, in to speak. At this time, we have no callers in the queue, and I will reread the instructions. To provide public comment, please call into the meeting at 1-669-900-6833. Again, that's 1-669-900-6833. Meeting code 860-7650-8344. Enter passcode 804062. At this time, we have no callers. A reminder, you may press *9 to raise your hand to get in the queue to speak for public comment after you have called in.
Hello?
Hello, your 2 minutes begins now.
Yes, I just have a question. I live a half a block away from this hotel, and I am curious to know who is the assailant and if a photo will be provided. Because there is a person that's been terrorizing our neighborhood, and it would be nice to know if that is the person that was involved in this shooting. The Soma violence is on the uptick. It's only getting worse. So this is only indicative of a larger problem. So thank you for your help.
Thank you, caller. We have released the name of the person involved in this incident, and that is Mr. Ajmal Amani. We will not release the photograph at this time. And additional information will be released by the medical examiner. I don't believe they will release a photo as well, but we have released the name of the person that unfortunately was lost his life in this incident. I will invite you, however, to attend Captain Falvey's community meeting or reach out to Captain Falvey or the San Francisco Office of the Chief of Police at sfchief at sf.org. SF at SFGovTV.org. And we can try to answer questions and help you with any of the issues that you just raised in your question. So please reach out to either Captain Falvey or myself, and we definitely will be at assistance to help you with the issues that you raise. Thank you, caller.
Yes, this is David, community member, with some questions. I'm wondering why there was a delay in rendering medical aid by the officers after the shooting occurred. The suspect was clearly down. The officers appeared to discuss policy, but not approach to stop bleeding, to stop the victim from bleeding out. I wonder why that was. And I wonder also why the less lethal officer cover, the extended impact range officer, fired at the same time as the lethal cover officer. They seemed to fire at the same time. If that was not true, please correct that fact. That's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, caller, for your questions. In terms of the medical aid, rendering of medical aid, medical assistance, the officers in any situation, including this one, try to approach the person who needs aid safely. When a weapon is involved, officers are trained to try to formulate a plan to approach safely. And that is how we train our officers. And as you heard Captain Yep's comments about the facts that you saw in the video, so you can go back and watch the video for Captain Yep's comments. It will be posted online. In terms of the ERIW and the discharge of the firearm, at this point in the investigation, we really don't know which was fired first. That will hopefully be determined as we really drill down in this investigation. But in the video, it's really hard to tell. So we didn't want to announce that information without knowing for sure. The video doesn't really tell the story of which fired first. You can't see muzzle flash and all the rounds discharged from the firearm. So we will try to determine that, but at this point, we really don't know.
For the previous caller with the community concerns, feel free to email the Chief's office at sfpdchief@sfgov.org so we can work with you for those community concerns.
Hi there. My name is Paul Wallace. I'm a psychiatrist that works in San Francisco who's been involved in following closely efforts to make sure that adequate mental health response is offered to any community members that need it. I'm curious in terms of the lead up to this intervention with Mr. Armani, as well as subsequently debriefing, if there's been any thought about whether it would have been appropriate to have someone with mental health specific training on the site, as it does appear by, excuse me, by my viewing, as well as sort of my knowledge of this case, that Mr. Armani may have been having a mental health crisis when this occurred.
Caller, as to your question, the San Francisco Police Department does invest a lot of time, energy, and resources into training our officers on crisis intervention techniques. And those techniques have proven to be effective in reducing bad outcomes. We've seen a significant reduction in uses of force, officer-involved shootings over the most recent years. And we believe, in part, that's due to our training. In terms of your question about mental health professionals also being a part of this equation, that we would like nothing more than that. And hopefully we can get to that place sometime in the very near future where we do have more support. That is being worked on by the city and county of San Francisco, and I hope that we can get there.
Should I be speaking now?
Thank you. We can hear you. Your 2 minutes begins now.
You know, I missed a couple previous comments, but I guess my main question is, had the officers known, had this been framed as a 5150 for the officers when they got there, would they have taken any different actions or strategies to approach the whole situation?
You know what, all we can really go by right now is the facts that we know and what actually occurred. I will say that I'll say again what I said with one of the previous questions. You know, we train our officers to respond to crisis situations, particularly people in mental crisis, whether it be regardless of how the crisis occurred. And that training has actually allowed us to have much better outcomes over the recent years. So we invest a lot of energy and time and resources and money into that training. It is, we believe, with the evidence of lower uses of force, lower amounts of officer-involved shootings over the last several years, we believe that those investments are yielding the outcomes that we want, and we'll continue to do that. You know, whether it's a 5150 or regardless of how the call comes out, the officers are trained to deal with situations and try to de-escalate as much as they can, keep a safe distance, and use as much time as they can to safely resolve those incidents without using force. And sometimes that works out with great outcomes, and sometimes the situation dictate other measures. So we will continue to train. We will continue to invest in crisis intervention. Right now, we have a significant percentage of our police department who are trained. We still have other officers who need to be trained. And also our incoming officers in the recruit academy receive that training in large quantity before they enter the streets of our city. So we will continue that effort. And it's our responsibility and goal and intention to have better outcomes and not have these types of outcomes. And we will continue to do everything in our power to do just that.
The next caller that has been unmuted, feel free to start speaking and your 2 minutes will begin. If you received an unmuted prompt, you may begin speaking and we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and your 2 minutes begins now.
Great, thank you. I just want to take the time to tell you guys thank you. You have an incredibly difficult job and regularly put into situations where you have split seconds to figure out what to do. And a lot of times it's choosing the least worst option. And I just want to say thank you and let you know that there's a lot of people out here who appreciate what you do for us. And just let you all know that that's not going unappreciated. Make sure you hear that.
Thank you, caller, for your comments. We really appreciate that. Seeing that we have no further callers in the queue, that will conclude this evening's officer-involved shooting town hall. I'd like to thank all the audience and members of the public who participated and our viewers. And also I'd like to close by offering our deepest condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Mr. Amani. Thank you. And please have a happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday.